Hi, everybody, and welcome to the fourth online Ask the Officer. My name is Olivia Hall, I'm VP Scribby, and today with me I have our Student President Adil and VP GSBS Priscilla. Nice little waves there. Tabitha unfortunately couldn't join us today, so she's here in spirit. But I'm just going to do the usual, ask you guys a few questions about your work, how you're finding the kind of on-campus and off-campus hybrid learning, hybrid working, sorry, and just get your opinions on how this kind of working and academic year is going for you. So I'll start with Adil. I'll put you on the spot. What have you been working on since the last Ask the Officer? Because I don't think you were with us for the last one.
Yeah, I couldn't make it in the last one, unfortunately. So I'll just try to touch on, really briefly the things that I've been involved in recently. We all know the first minister came in, and so there was an announcement. Like it was an announcement, but a confirmation about free bus travel for under 22s. So part of from the GCU's perspective as a university, we've got a high proportion of mature students, people who are above the age of 21. So I think inclusion of our mature students in that kind of initiative by the government, I think that's something that's really important. So I've been involved in some conversations. There's another meeting happening in about 2 weeks time, or the 2 weeks time, with one of the key kind of governmental kind of members regarding this. So that's something I've been working on to kind of make it more accessible towards the entire student population. We really appreciate the government's kind of initiative. To be honest, I think that's amazing, the work they're doing in terms of like making transport more accessible and make it more green. And what else? Let's see. The Faith and Belief Center, of course, that was something that initially we were trying to accommodate. The students who really wanted to use the Faith and Belief Center. There were problems, because of like why it had to like shut down. So I'm happy to say that in some time, I don't want to put like a time frame, but I've received confirmation that the Faith and Belief Center is going to have. It's going to be like the health and safety concerns would be resolved, ventilation changes or something. So the Faith and Belief Center is going to go back up, and that's something that I've been working with the university with as well. The student parking, so parking is changing. The whole parking like scenario at the university is changing. They're renewing the whole process, and one perspective that I put forward to that is that I really think students should be involved in that whole phase. So discussions with the university regarding that are going forward as well. Trimester B, everyone's excited. Everyone wants to know how trimester B is going to look like. So we've started conversation. We've been talking with the university about trimester B and how learning and teaching in trimester B would be like. I received a copy of the letters that the government has sent to the principals. All the principals of Scotland regarding learning and teaching in trimester B. It's really unfortunate that they've kind of once again, I would say in my perspective, once again tried to ask the universities to retain from increasing the level of learning and teaching on campus, which I think is quite unfair, because all the pressure is always put on the students rather than the entire population, entire like society. So they're asking universities to kind of refrain from like increasing learning and teaching. So I've been talking with NUS, National Union of Students. I've been talking with the university. We are expecting learning and teaching to increase in trimester B. We've kind of approved the trimester B principles laid out by the university, and that's one of the conversations that I've been actively kind of working on. There's a couple more stuff, but I'm just going to skip that. But a motion that would be of particular interest to our disabled students, but many other students. What I want to, part of my manifesto, of course, I wanted to increase the level of support we offer to disabled students. So we passed a motion at Equality and Diversity Committee, the one before this one in October. And so we're now calling the university to increase the level of equipment and support they offer to disabled students. We're going to ask them for auto-approved mitigating circumstances for disabled students. And third is a mandatory learning and teaching training for learning and teaching staff to be able to teach in that environment, because we all know the difficulties that the university has basically for accommodating and supporting disabled students. So I realize I've been just talking for a while. There's more stuff, but I'm just gonna put it there. Yeah.
That's great, thank you. And don't worry, you'll get to talk in a while and a bit more, because I'm about to ask you in detail about your objectives. So, Priscilla, what work have you been doing since the last Ask the Officer?
Okay, so for me, for the past 2 weeks, I think alongside the other officers, the last Ask the Officer we did, we talked about the climate action rally that we're going for. And I mean, after the Ask the Officer, we all did the banner making session, and then also went for the rally alongside other students, or GCE students as well. And then also we also did the academic rep gathering, and it was a successful one in all the schools. And a lot of the class reps also showed up and did a lot of trainings and got themselves equipped for the coming year. So I mean, that was a success, and that went well. Also had alongside the other officers as well, we had a networking session with the LibRep officers, and it was a very fun one. We all got time to see each other. I think Olivia asked how it has been on campus and at home. I mean, getting to see people is something we all look forward to, and it was a nice one. And also been planning a lot of activities, which I will let you know if Olivia asks us what we are planning for the next 2 weeks. So so that's just what I've been up to for the last 2 weeks.
Also a very busy schedule. I think we're all kind of very busy at this point of the year. In terms of my work, since the last Ask the Officer, I've been kind of working to get free period products, which are currently available through campus and the advice centre, by asking to update them due to kind of Scottish guidance, which is now out about being able to have access to free period products in higher education institutions and various other buildings in the country. It's just looking to kind of keep that service going and seeing what students are wanting, if there's any changes students are wanting, and just to kind of improve that service so we can continually help the students that need it. I've also been working to get anti-spiking cup covers available in the Students' Association. So keep your eyes peeled, because that will be piloting at some point when they do arrive, in light of the spiking claims that have been happening in and around the Glasgow area, which we were speaking about in previous Ask the Officers. I felt it was really important that students had access to something that could potentially help them and keep them safe on a night out. And I think it's something that, even if you don't use it, keeping it with you just in case one night you think that you might want to is a really, really great resource to have. So that'll hopefully be implemented and piloted at some point. I've also been working on the teaching awards. Again, keep your eyes peeled, because that will be starting to get promoted very, very soon. It starts very, very early for planning because it is happening next year. But as I said, a lot of work goes into things very early on. And on the same note as that, I'm also starting work on refreshers. My summer was filled with freshers conversations, and now my winter is going to be filled with refreshers conversations. So just planning the types of events that we can have for that, and the types of kind of networking for the new students, and seeing how we can still get people engaged for the new intake in January. And also I have been working with Radio Cali to try and get them up and running. For those interested in Radio Cali, because I know we always have loads of students interested, it's unfortunately been down since March 2020, and I know a lot of students have been quite disappointed at not being able to have a shot at trying that. So it will be opening. It has now been given the green light to open. We are just setting things up, And if you keep your eyes peeled on their social media, or you get in contact with their manager at manager@radiocali.com, then you can get information on when they start doing the presenter training, and you can get in contact with them to start your own show. But that's kind of the work that I've been doing over the past 2 weeks. We're all very busy.
I was going to say, Olivia, for the teaching awards last year, I remember we had almost like 900 or something applications, and it took us a long time to get through them, like a really really long time. The long listing process and the short listing process, oh my god, amazing applications of course, but like that was, a lot of students like showed interest in the teaching award, so that was amazing to see.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be my first time going through that kind of application process for the teaching awards. I have heard there are hundreds that come in, so I am excited to go through them, but at the same time I feel like I'm going to have to clear a massive chunk of my diary to do that, because I want to be able to read all of the applications properly. So if anyone wants to help me out with that, they can let me know.
We'll help you. We'll help you.
Good. Sort of tying along, I know I've asked you what work you've been doing since the last Ask the Officer, but specifically on your objectives, anything that you've not mentioned, regarding your objectives, what have you been focusing on? Because I know we had our objectives kind of approved at the first Student Voice in October, and we've got our second Student Voice coming up, and our papers are going in soon. So what kind of work have you done so far in relation to that? I'll start with Priscilla this time, so that I'm not always going to Adil.
Okay, I think basically, because looking at my objectives, my three objectives are objectives that it's not a short-term thing, it's a long-term thing. So what I've just done is established communication with the key people that I know would help in building. I mean, for two of my objectives, for the last one I haven't done anything, but for the one, the IT and the accommodation, I've established some communications with the key people that will make doing it and making the project easy. I've already established communication, and we are trying to come up with things to make it a success. So that's what I've been doing regarding my objectives.
Thank you. And Adil?
Yep, thanks, Olivia. So I think in terms of one of my objectives, which is also like Priscilla said, it's also like a long-term kind of medium-term like objective, which is the transition to return to campus. And it's much more wider than that. It's not just about returning to campus. It's all the caveats that go along with it. We had that online study request. Some of our students, have, certain issues where they cannot be on campus. So along that transition, making sure we're accommodating everybody, and not kind of bringing a disadvantage to any particular group of students. So, in the start of trimester, we ensured that there was an online study request form which students could use if they, because of their personal circumstance, medically, evidence personal circumstance, or they were caring for somebody who had such an issue. So, conversations with the university recently have started again about that, and how would that look like in trimester B? Because trimester A was an opportunity for all the students to come forward and, let their like lecturers or module leaders know if there was, any issues they were facing. So in trimester B, do we still need that? Do we still need to make sure that, we retain that? Do we make some changes on that? So that's one of the conversations I've been involved with. And my kind of focus in all my executive board meetings, the meetings I have with the university, is predominantly about how are we looking at, different aspects of the return to campus. So recently we've talking about, what happens if the government says, we're not able to allow universities to go back on campus. What happens? Not increase the learning and teaching. What do the Students Association want? Because, all of the students, a lot of the students probably know there is a political stance we have, which is we want to see more learning and teaching happening on campus. But we also want to make sure the students who, have benefited from online learning and teaching are provided the ability to do so. And that basically means that we don't really forget what the pandemic has really made us learn, all the good things that came out of like online learning. So that kind of conversation is always happening with the university. And so that's just the kind of an overview about one of my objectives. And I think for offering more support to the to disabled students, there's much more happening, more wider than my objective itself. For example, Coles, who is a really great a disabled students officer we have. She is a really good advocate for the students. Me, Coles, and the head of security and head of campus of GCU held a meeting regarding the disabled parking spaces, which are right outside the Students Association building, and just trying to see why, are those spaces being used appropriately? Are those spaces being used for disabled, staff or students that we have at GCU? There were a couple of like action points we developed from the meeting. For example, a way where they would have to display a purple permit, as it was called, because there was no enforcement. They were typically told to show a badge, but this purple permit would actually help us and help the university to only reserve that space for disabled students. So just a quick overview of a few things that I've been doing.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's absolutely always room to help improve the services that are there for disabled students, and I think the work that you just mentioned is really, really great and helps a lot of students, and it's good to kind of speak about it on platforms like this so that people who maybe aren't disabled students but want to know just what's going on with their peers, it's really great information to put out there. And you're also right that a lot of our objective work is long term. It's not something that we can kind of solve and try. My objectives are kind of the same. I mean, I've been doing my objective work. I've been working with the bar to try and improve the menu, but obviously needing kind of student opinion and student feedback on that. I'll actually be promoting on my social media later today that I'm holding a feedback session next Thursday from 3:30 to 4:30. And in that session, I'll just be asking students to kind of tell me their thoughts on the menu, their thoughts on the interior, what they think can be improved, what they think maybe just needs a little bit of refinement or work. So there's that coming up with my objectives. I've been speaking to officers and other HE institutions to get their opinion on how their wellbeing services work regarding disordered eating, as that's also one of my objectives. So it really, objective work really is something that requires a lot of channels of communication, and it takes months and months of work. So it's great to kind of put it out here so students can hear what we're doing. Okay, moving away from the work side, because you're probably loaded with it, is we're kind of over halfway through the trimester now, and I wondered if you had any advice for any students. Obviously the end of term assignments will be coming up in a couple of weeks, and if there's any advice from either the officer perspective or from a previous student perspective on how they can keep themselves motivated, because I know the last few weeks of term can sometimes feel a wee bit of a drag depending on what you have coming up. Not sure if you want me to start this time, since I've kind of thrown you under the bus. Yeah, I can start. So my advice to my own question would be for any students that are struggling to remember that if they're struggling academically, we have the LDC, so you can go to the LDC in your school, which is the Learning Development Centre, and they can help you with things, like your plagiarism, your work in general. If you have any questions about the kind of academic side of everything, they can really put your mind at ease. And you can work up a really good working relationship with them as well. It doesn't have to be one-off appointments. We've also got our advice centre. If you're wanting to submit, for example, a mitigating circumstances form, if you feel like you need that little extra time, for your assignments, because I know that sometimes students can feel that they don't have time to complete things due to other things going on in their life. So you should never feel that you have to complete something just because you've got a deadline coming up. If you genuinely have a reason, then obviously please make the university aware. And we also have our health and wellbeing services. So again, you can contact them if maybe kind of seasonal depression or low mood, just due to how dark it is right now, is starting to affect your studies. Remember that we also have the wellbeing services, and they can help you if you're struggling with any low mood or anxiety, or you just want someone to talk to. So that would be my advice. I don't know if Priscilla, do you want to go and tell us your advice for any students?
I think you've given all the advice already.
Sorry.
So, I mean, just like Olivia said, there are tons of support that students can get. So, I mean, at this period feels like a period where you just want to bury yourself in your books, bury yourself in your courseworks and your exams and all. But in the midst of everything, I know we all want to, come out in flying colors with A's and all. But in the midst of everything, just always remember to take a little break, take a little rest. And that would be possible if you can have a kind of schedule or a plan. When you have a plan, it kind of helps in what you want to do. So you have a plan to do this from this time to this time. It'll kind of help you have some time off to blow off some steam, even though you have deadlines and you have assignments and tests to do. So just make sure you take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, at the end of the day, you might not even achieve what you're trying to achieve in your academics. So just remember to always take care of yourself. Plus, all the advice Olivia said, if you need any support, don't hesitate to reach out to the appropriate channels. So that's it.
And Adil, I know Priscilla and I have pretty much left you with no more advice to give, but have you got anything from maybe when you were a student that helped you when it kind of got to that?
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's some really good advice. So, I mean, I don't think just the students take your advice. I'm going to be taking your advice as well, guys. So thanks for that. But I think my kind of, advice, I wanted to focus on the LDC aspect as well, and putting on my student cap, being a student in 2019, that's when I stopped being a student. The way I used to do it, it's a technique that I used to follow. Not a technique, but it was just my standard approach to examinations, assessments, and stuff. I mean, I cannot stress enough how important the LDC really is. Their Learning and Development Center honestly helped me achieve the first class. And I'm not just plugging for them, but it actually is true. Like, I used to, I started reading books, how to achieve a first class, how do you study, not how to study, how to get good grades and stuff. And then I kind of cross-examined that when I took my courseworks to the LDC. They really helped me understand, okay, that's you not critically thinking. That's something that you could change. Okay, you need to add more. You need to, put some less in. This is irrelevant, etc., etc. And it took time. It took I would say months of me visiting the LDC, and then I started to understand, what does a first class or even a 2.1, what are they looking for in that aspect. So I think it's a blessing in disguise, and it's really important for the students to go and check out the LDC and make sure they go in on the right time. I think just while we're talking about this specific time period, I think it's also important, like Priscilla mentioned, to have those breaks. Make sure you're doing some other stuff that blows the steam off, because you can easily get caught up with one single aspect. Your assessments, your coursework, your examinations, and believe me, because I've been through that, and I used to burn out every single time, and I highly do not recommend it. So do not try that. Take enough breaks. Make sure you're doing some other stuff as well that makes you relax, help you, going out with friends, or maybe just a call. Just today, and I wanted to kind of touch on the subject as well. There's been a really shocking research findings that have come out from the Mental Health Foundation of Scotland. And it's about 74% of students, suffering from well-being. That's a really, really high number. And so, we need to be doing things that, help our students. And, it's not just like a problem within our students, but it's a Scotland wide problem. And so, it's something that, we as a society need to kind of focus on, the government needs to focus on. So it's really important to take those breaks, not let anything, get to your head, because it easily can. And yeah, all the best. And I'm sure our students at GSU will do amazing.
I'm sure.
Thank you, Adele. Yeah, what, sorry, Priscilla?
I said I'm sure as well. All the best, guys.
Yeah, all the best. And as you were saying, burnout can be something that a lot of students do experience, unfortunately. So it is really important, like Priscilla said, to take breaks and just make use of the uni and SA services that are there to help you.
Did you guys have any like kind of those burnouts at any point, or did you guys how did you guys manage your your time as when you were like doing your assessments and exams and stuff?
I used to kind of have a timetable and a schedule, but there's just sometimes I don't know if it's impossible at times. There was a time I just did I think I had a deadline, and because I had some other things, so I couldn't really do the assignment. But then I had 2 days straight without sleeping. I'm just sitting down somewhere doing nothing. And at the end of the assignment, as it's 2 days, I just stand up, pick my phone, continue. I didn't sleep throughout the night. The next day I continued. I mean, at the end of the day, I almost fell sick because of that, which is why, just like you said, it's not recommended. I achieved what I wanted to achieve, but then it hurts me kind of. So they're just those one time that we just need to. So I just feel planning is really important. Just have it. I think I forgot my key yesterday, and I sat at Olivia's desk. So I saw something at Olivia's desk. She just wrote 3 things, some things I need to do this time. So I think things like that are really important, and it helps.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I imagine when Olivia tells us, I imagine it's going to be super organized. So yeah.
I was just about to say, the way I cope with burnout is I sit down and I write down massive lists of everything I need to do, because if any student that's come into my office so far, the first thing they do is comment on, oh, you're organized, because my board is just lists of lists of lists. I just love making lists, and I feel like it's really helpful if you're anxious about completing any tasks, because you can actually see what you have to do, and it also calms you down when you get to cross one off. So yeah. Now Priscilla knows exactly what I have to carry out. She knows my lists.
I think the best part is like when you tick off from your checklist. I mean, that's the best time of my day. Just sitting at night, okay, I did that, tick box, I did that. I use my like kind of iCloud like reminders thing. So that's a really happy moment in my life whenever I do that.
But one thing about me is that when you tick off something, another thing comes up, and the list is reducing but increasing at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's kind of crazy, but then yeah.
Sometimes I cheat the system. I will be like, okay, for this 1 week, no more extra things that I will be adding, and that week would be me just like taking. I'm cheating the system, to be honest. But yeah, sometimes you have to do it.
Well, I think we all know that my lists are the way to go with organisation. But that is us at the end of the fourth Ask the Officer already. Thank you very much for both coming here, and thank you to everyone that either watched or will be watching later on our social media channels. Is there anything you guys want to make students aware of, or want to give an update on just before we head off?
Yeah, I think so. So I think we'll be having, I don't know, Adil and I, and I think some other ethnic equality and diversity officers will be meeting to plan the 16 days action for
gender-based violence.
Gender-based violence.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the Remembrance Day. So it's going to be 16 days. and which will be starting on the 24th of November, which is next week. So we'll be coming up. Just watch out for our social media space. We'll be putting up how it's going to run. Just watch out and kindly join if you are able to. So that's just the announcement I'd like to make.
Yeah. Just on that, I don't have anything else to say, to be honest. I'm just going to add to what Priscilla said.
That's fine.
I think it's really amazing to see like how our students, you know, are engaged with us. You know, all these like campaigns and coming out, and you know, we receive messages from students saying that, you know, we wanna join, we wanna be a part of it. We held a liberation representation like get together this week. It was fun to like interact with so many kind of representatives, you know, where we were all like kind of representatives, like sitting, you know, on that table, just chatting about like different issues of like students. So it's really amazing to see like when, you know, students getting engaged within these kinds of campaigns. It talks about like what GCU students really are about, to be honest. And so, you know, the campaign that Priscilla is talking about, you know, we are still yet to finalize exactly how we're going to go about the entire campaign, but it is something that is close to our hearts. It is something that we need to, you know, make sure that we raise our voice about. And so it is going to be a really good campaign. So highly recommend all the students, like Priscilla said, to join in and be a part of the campaign. We're kind of sure that we'll have something of a banner making session coming up. Still not confirmed, but yeah, and it would be really good to see, you know, all the students that, you know, really are you know, kind of they want to join to be there. And so yeah, that will be just my last kind of thing I wanted to point out.
Sorry, Olivia, one more thing. I just remembered that our first pop quiz will be next week Tuesday. I think 5 to 6 p.m. at the Union Banquet. So just please show up and come and enjoy yourself. Come and win prizes if possible. So yeah, next week.
And to hear my lame jokes, if you guys don't feel like you know, laughing, you laugh because they're so lame. So so come on in Friday. Oh, sorry, what day was it again?
Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday.
Okay, so Adele's lame jokes can entice you in next Tuesday. But thank you. I don't think I have anything to add that I've not already kind of mentioned throughout the episode. So thank you to everyone that watched and will watch later on. And I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.